Great news! It's time for the Clash Royale League in Europe. Today's first match is a blockbuster between two teams at the top. Second-ranked Allegiance against third-ranked G2 Esports. Gentlemen, quick reminder, the playoffs are only days away. Just saying.
Weeks ago, when these two teams first met, Allegiance nearly got swept, but Donkey Kong picked up the reverse, taking out all three members for the victory, and for his country of France. And across from him, it's the Spaniards with a little home country pride. Brand New Jersey showing off today. They want a big win in this battle for second place. Hello and welcome to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Andrew Guy for the final day of Week 8, and what a big one it is.
Yes, this is a huge day here at CRL. Both of these teams are 8-4, and whoever wins this matchup will claim that number 2 spot.
And of course, they are all shooting for a place in the playoffs. That number 2 spot getting a first round bye, needing just 2 wins to make their way to the World Finals.
Absolutely, and Rich and I will be there in Tokyo, Japan on December 1st. Go in-game to your news tab to figure out how you can join us there.
Coming up next, we have the battle for second place, but later today, it's a battle for the 4th spot in our playoff picture. Team Liquid facing off against SK Gaming. But before we get there right now, it's G2 against Allegiance.
Yeah, G2 coming out today with Faye, Fairchu, Canario, and of course, Sheer, their opponents. Allegiance, we got Wiko, Donkey Kong, Doberman, and the 1v1 specialist, Lupanji.
Currently tied in the standings, although there are a bunch of tiebreaker scenarios that make this a true second place decider match. A big part of that is last time Allegiance took the win in the final game of King of the Hill on a 3-game sweep by Donkey Kong, who has his own thoughts on the rematch as he stands by with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. So, Donkey Kong, first off, how's your injury? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better right now. I'm fully recovered, so I'm fine to play.
Allegiance and G2, you guys have already clinched a playoff spot, but does that mean that there's more pressure or less pressure for today?
Yeah, there is more pressure for today because whoever wins finish second of the league, so it's like a playoff match. So the level is going to be insane, I think, today.
All right, I'm excited. Let's see. Thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. We'll get to the action in just a minute, but first, we have more of these super awesome cards from Topps.
Yeah, you guys can get these cards at shop.supercell.com, and I think I speak for both of us when I say I'm always really excited when I see this pack on the desk in the morning.
They are the greatest, and we will find a legendary today. Of course, in the super box, there's a guaranteed legendary inside every one.
Yes, there is.
Right out the gate.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I got the Lumberjack here, you know, one of our absolute favorites.
Now I'm all raged up.
Yeah, I love it. I don't even care about the rest. I got Ice Golem, Goblins, Tesla, Archers, Skelly Barrel, but I got that legendary.
That's it, legendary right out the gate. It could happen to you too, but more importantly, we have some big-time matchup coming right your way. Let's see how these two squads get prepared inside the war rooms.
Félicitations, premier objectif atteint, on est en playoff. Voilà, bah on voulait de base, on l'a réussi. Maintenant, on a la possibilité aujourd'hui de faire un deuxième objectif, terminer deuxième. Pour ça, c'est simple, on a juste à les battre. Dit comme ça, c'est facile.
Je pense que...
Maintenant, ce match, il faut le jouer à fond. Ce match, c'est pour moi, et je pense que pour vous aussi, c'est le premier match des playoffs. Tout simplement parce qu'il a une énorme importance. Si on finit deuxième, on est assuré d'être top 3 aux playoffs. Et on a un match de moins. C'est hyper important. Et moi, j'ai toute confiance en vous, je sais qu'on peut le faire. Donc voilà, là, on a un adversaire aujourd'hui, c'est G2. Donc on va dehors, on sort, on montre de quoi on est capable, on montre notre niveau qu'on a montré depuis le début de la compétition. On les a déjà battus, il n'y a pas de raison qu'on puisse pas refaire la même chose. Allez les gars, à 3. 1, 2, 3, action!
Vamos chavales, aquí estamos, Allegiance. Uno de los pocos equipos que nos ganaron, y in extremis la verdad, 2 contra 2. Ferchu, Faye, van doble tornado. Sí. Lo hemos practicado, lo hemos entrenado, esperábamos algo así, todo bien.
Callarse, que estoy escuchando el himno de mi Españita.
¿Qué ya, Ferchu? ¿Qué ya? 1 contra 1. Canario, tornado minero. Más o menos esperado, tenemos las cosas claras. Era el mejor jugador de 1 por 1 de la liga, eso es un hecho objetivo, así que ya, como gustan mis objetivos, ¿eh? Tranquilo, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Sí? ¿Estás listo para el King of Hill?
Sí.
Perfecto. Pues nada, chavales, hay que devolvérsela. Nos ganaron una vez, no puede ser el único equipo que nos gana 2 veces. Yo me niego. Sí que vosotros, espero que también. Por Españita, chavales.
Por España.
Vamos.
In the 2v2 showdown, you've got fireworks, friends, and a whole lot of elixir. It's like a party. And I don't know about you, but I love a good rager. Allegiance and G2, send your 2v2 party people to the dance floor and don't forget to invite me to the after party.
After too much rage, make sure you have those heal potions standing by. And you might need some here because these two squads are going for blood. It's going to be Allegiance facing off against G2 for second place in Europe.
Yeah, coming out for Allegiance today, we've got Wiko and Doberman who have gone 3 of 4 in their 2v2 sets, finding a good amount of success, 75%, not bad at all. Fairchew and Faye, however, have never been out together in 2v2, so this is a debut of this pair. Faye 3-0 in 2v2 sets, however.
Those new jerseys blending in nicely with that red side of the arena. Let's take a look at our ban cards active for all of our potential 3 games here at 2v2, and it is a double tornado ban.
Yeah, double NATO. All I can say is over the last 3 weeks, we have seen absolutely insane shifts in the 2v2 meta, and I cannot wait to see what's about to happen right now, Rich.
It's a big one, all on the line. A chance at Japan. Let's go. G2's Fairchew and Faye at the top of your screen. At the bottom, Allegiance, Doberman, and Wiko. France versus Spain. G2 versus Allegiance. All of it for that one extra step towards the World Finals.
Yeah, and with that NATO ban, you got to imagine that you're going to see Balloon and Miner a lot, or the Lava Hound Miner combination. I'm very curious to see how often we see that Miner come into play when the NATO's been banned in 2v2, Rich.
Well, some people are saying that the Tornado right now might be the single best card in all of Clash Royale. There are so many great synergies with it, and of course with a little extra slow from the Ice Wizard, it really has become a fantastic card, making it into so many different decks.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that you can, again, pull all your units together, you can group that Lava Hound pop all together into one Ice Wizard target. You can activate the King Tower with many different troops, whether it's the Bandit, the Electro Wiz, the Royal Ghost, the Hog. Such a great spell.
And that's why it's been one of our most banned cards here at CRL. Right now, we see part of why both squads choosing to go to the skies.
Yep, and now we're going to see these cannons coming in as a great defensive response. The Flying Machine, Fireball not in cycle, or not actually not having the elixir for it, is G2 at the top of the screen wanting to take out those Flying Machines, I'm sure.
And Miner getting on tower, making room for that Flying Machine to do some damage.
Lumberjack coming in and cleaning up that Miner quickly, but 1,200 HP remains on that bottom left tower for Allegiance.
With all the bans that have happened this season, Tornado has only a 20% usage rate, although a big question about the efficacy of that ban because when it's in, it has a 49.47 win rate.
Yeah, again, a very, very powerful spell. Even with that slight nerf that it got just a little while back, just lets you know how strong it was pre-nerf.
All these stats, of course, that we're bringing up applying to our 1v1 sets.
And a huge push here in the left-hand lane, and now Allegiance has got to try to make something happen on the right, but G2 is ready to go with their defense. The poison coming down early, great use of that poison, going to clean up the Night Witch, and now those Lava Pups, when popping, will be less effective.
28 seconds left for Allegiance to get a tower back, and the Lumberjack does get picked up by the Valkyrie, a very important spinning axe there to potentially save that tower.
Yeah, and G2 recognizing they can just let that left tower go. The right is the one that is more in danger. That's the one that Allegiance is going all in on, and with only 8 seconds left, there is absolutely no way for Allegiance to take this first game back.
Game number 1 in the books. It is Spain coming out on top of their European rivals. Allegiance from France.
I mean, that is quite the way to christen your new jerseys and your new 2v2 combo. Faye and Fairchu now getting their first win together. And you see here the pushes from both teams coming down very, very similar. However, Allegiance just having a little bit more success offensively and defensively here. And then the push coming in with the miner and the guards creating a ton of pressure. No elixir really in the hands of Allegiance at the bottom of your screen.
So we're seeing the Lumberjack play here from Allegiance versus a more defensive card in the Valkyrie. And it seems like that might have been a big part of the difference, Andrew. The Valkyrie was able to pick up when things were coming across, and the Lumberjack really not having as much defensive utility, which is where you usually see it.
Yeah, I mean, the Lumberjack there, it is a great defensive card. They probably wanted to throw it in for the Rage to help their balloons get to the tower. However, if you're playing good enough defense and you keep your Lava Hound alive, that Valkyrie does provide more utility, Rich.
So game number 1 here for the Spanish team. Their new jerseys being pretty good so far. Those are nice jerseys, Andrew. That's what I mean to say.
Pretty. Hey, man, I wasn't going to call you out. I'm glad you did it for everyone.
Well, no call-outs needed here between these two squads. They know what's on the line, and right now, G2 with a very important lead.
Yeah, the coach of Allegiance saying exactly that. This is the most important game of the season. However, also very, very important to keep his team calm and not feel the pressure in this situation, as it is the highest pressure situation they've been in all the weeks that they've played here at CRL.
So look at these deck shifts here, Andrew. It looks like Allegiance going with a very similar deck to last time. Maybe not exactly the same, but certainly quite similar. But it's G2 switching it up. Lots of air defense, but still playing that Royal Giant Skeleton combination.
Yeah, and you make a very, very good point there, Rich, in the fact they do have a ton of air defense. We've seen a lot of the Giant Skelly combination here in 2v2 have many more troops that support the ground. But G2 recognizing what Allegiance did in the first game, thinking they might double down on it. I'm just curious to see how this Royal Giant Skeleton push works. We've seen it have, I'd say, moderate success.
Well, that's the big question now, Andrew. They definitely have gone with the maneuver to make sure that they are covered in the air, but will that leave them enough on the ground to get these Royal Giant pushes effective?
Yeah, and definitely not when it's played like that. You always want to get your Giant Skeleton in front of your Royal Giant to tank for it, and then we've seen this combination before, is ideally you even get the Lumberjack in front of the two of them to increase their attack speed and damage. And this is going to be a very healthy balloon for Allegiance on the tower.
And a little help there from the Lava Hound bursting. Only gets one drop, but a very important drop with just a minute left going into double elixir time. It is Allegiance with a massive lead on the right-hand tower.
Yeah, and with the amount of spells that Allegiance has in their hand and the miner, they can probably just commit to defense for the next 50 seconds here and end up taking that right-hand tower with chip and spell damage.
Although they do have to be careful. This is a lot of damage. It's going to keep coming down this left-hand lane. And with those bats distracting the Inferno Dragon, that's a number of big-time shots from the Royal Giant on the left-hand side.
And Rich, this is why I echo the sentiment that I just said a moment ago. They really needed to double down on defense, in my opinion, because I think if they hadn't dropped that Lava Hound, that's a lot more elixir, 7 more elixir they could have committed to defense on the left-hand side and still ended up taking that right-hand tower with spell cycling and miners. And now they're in a really bad position.
The Fireball a little late to help out with that Royal Giant, but still damage done, and it is now G2 out with a significant lead in both lanes.
And when Allegiance goes to Lava Hound up, they're going to do exactly this, which is Royal Giant in the pocket. It's so hard to catch it. You saw them drop the Tesla. Still too late. More damage getting in. Lightning coming in, and the bomb on the tower. G2 taking that easily.
For a moment, I was a little concerned there, Andrew. You saw the Giant Skeleton coming to the inside of the Royal Giant, pushing it off of tower lock into range of the King Tower or the Tesla. But that Giant Skeleton still made its way to the tower, and once that bomb drops, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that is the last thing you want to see once that Giant Skeleton gets close to your tower, and this is that moment you're talking about, Rich. It pushes that Royal Giant out of range. That, coupled with the snowball, retargets it.
Could have been a big problem there, Andrew.
Yeah, but the giant skeleton here does get to tower. Bomb drops down. Guards are there anyways. Doesn't even need the bomb. And I go back to saying that Lava Hound going down the lane when that tower was already below 700 HP was a mistake in my mind. They should have played a little bit more defense.
So there you go. It's game or set number 1 in the books. G2 taking it down. And of course, they have such a fantastic player in their 1v1, Canario, who will be facing off against one of the best from his squad in Lupanji.
1v1 pro players are like conductors orchestrating symphonies of destruction on the battlefield, with the soaring aria of the fireball in flight and the low rumble of the battle ram on the attack. Lupanji and Canario, time for a concerto of carnage in the arena!
And here we go, a matchup you've probably been waiting to see. These two did not meet last time. This time, though, 3 games to decide the fate of Allegiance.
Absolutely. Lupanji coming out for Allegiance, having a great bit of success here in that 1v1 set as we've gotten into the later half of the season. He is 4-2, and Canario in that wonderful New Jersey 7-1 in King of the Hill with an overall head-to-head win rate of 23-8, Rich.
He has been fantastic all throughout the season, and looking to get one more big win here. The bans available for all 3, or unavailable for all 3 of our games here in 1v1. It is Tornado once again and Miner.
Yeah, that Miner is such a great card, having a 51% win rate when used, when not banned. Very curious to see why they didn't want him in play.
The Giant Slayer became the Giant, looking to take down one more big one here against Lupanji. Game number 1, G2's Canario at the top of your screen. Allegiance Lupanji at the bottom, and it's 7-1 in these 1v1 sets, Andrew, to support that overall head-to-head win rate of 23-8.
Yeah, absolutely insane, considering there's only been one person who has ever beaten him in a 1v1 set.
So the Hunter and Tombstone out for Lupanji.
Probably going to see 3 Musketeers, or definitely going to see 3 Musketeers here from Canario.
And we haven't seen a ton of Elixir Pump in CRL.
No, it's a really interesting card. A lot of people have been talking about the mechanics of it, whether or not it should show up in your opening hand or not, and then also, you know, when you can't punish it, how effective it is. And that Battle Ram connecting is not the way Lupanji wanted to start this set off.
That's a pretty big moment there, and part of the issue with that is cycling that Tombstone so early.
Yeah, definitely a very safe card to cycle because it's so cheap and it is a very passive card. However, when you do need it and it's not in hand that early on, it's always a bummer. Yeah, and it was a Fanatics Dion was the person who took down Canario in the 1v1 set.
So the Elixir Collector has only a 3% usage here in head-to-head or 1v1 play at CRL, but it also has a 54% win rate.
Yeah, once again, if you can't punish it, or if you end up getting that Elixir advantage that it gives you by keeping it alive, by protecting it, you are in a huge advantage. And these pros know they can always feel when their opponent is at a deficit, excuse me.
So a challenging moment there for Canard to deal with. He had so much dual lane pressure and not a ton to use against it.
Yeah, now Lupanji here taking that Royal Ghost, the brunt of it on the left-hand side, having to allocate the Elixir to the Tombstone on the right to stop the Battle Ram. This is one of the things that Canario is so good at, is that methodical play of slowly picking apart his opponents, recognizing when they are at a disadvantage, and just really pushing up the pressure.
And now Canario has pumped up twice, so we will see how he takes advantage of that big flood of Elixir.
Yeah, and Lupanji's in a tough place. The only thing he has to punish that pump is the poison, but he's got to save it for these 3 Musketeers. Lupanji opting to eat that Hunter on the left-hand side, definitely the better decision, or the correct decision, I should say.
So 1 Musketeer does survive, a very frustrating one, but now the Royal Ghosts chasing each other across the board.
Wow, yeah, that was a double kite, an unintentional kite by Lupanji to pull that Royal Ghost of Canario, but it ended up working out for him.
Yeah, pulled it to his more under threat side, so now down to 978 as we go into sudden death overtime.
And the 3 Muskies right at the river, that Barbarian Barrel just a hair short, not getting all the damage on all 3 of them, but great defense with that Royal Ghost. Wow, Lupanji is playing this so well.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage on the right-hand side now, down under 500 hit points. This could be within spell range very, very soon.
Oh, and that Barb Barrel coming across the river. The Barbarian Barrel is so great. I mean, a tank that can cross the river 100% of the time without taking any damage is an obscene valued card.
I don't know how Canario is going to deal with these Royal Hogs now, and that's not going to happen. It's going down. That's going to be tower killed for Lupanji. Smile on his face. He knows he played that one very, very well.
I mean, I don't know if he could have played it any better. There was obviously a couple of small things in the very, very beginning, but you're going to take a good amount of damage throughout that entire game when your opponent has an elixir pump and you cannot punish it. I admire his defensive prowess and then in turn somehow creating an offense. Lupanji definitely deserved to walk away with game 1.
And that battle ram felt like it was a turning point early in this match as we finished the first minute. But in the end, it was Lupanji, the dual lane pressure making it very difficult for his opponent, and then knowing when to overload and go for the kill.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting that Ice Golem in front of your Royal Hogs is so important when your opponent is using that Hunter. He's got a slow attack time, a huge amount of damage, but that Ice Golem soaked him up and distracted him.
Game number 1 for Lupanji. Canario needing to win 2 in a row now to seal this thing for his squad and prevent it from going to a very dangerous King of the Hill. So the question now becomes, Andrew, does Lupanji run it back? Does he change it up? And does Canario prepare for Royal Hogs or go in a different direction?
Yeah, and a good luck coming out from Canario. Nothing in return from Lupanji. He is laser focused, knowing that he has to take this set. He has to. He needs to get his team in second place. He needs that first round bye.
And this time, it's Canario coming out with an early Royal Hog push.
Yeah, the Goblin Hut's been showing up a lot recently, getting that slight little bit of a buff. I love the Goblin Hut. I think it provides such a great amount of utility. It pulls building cards, pull units that are attracted to buildings directly from a farther range than things like a cannon or a tombstone.
It feels like buildings are having a bit of a renaissance in this month here, Andrew. The Goblin Hut, of course, appearing more, and the Barbarian Hut between the play here at CRL, the recent Clash with Ash video that you now have been playing that deck,
yeah.
and you've seen it all over challenges, at pretty much every other one now.
Yeah, the Furnace has been great, but that deck is so interesting. The Barbarian Hut, that deck doesn't have any win conditions, but a ton of great cards in it. A very, very interesting video to check out.
You know, we're talking about not just buildings, I mean, specifically spawners have been coming out so heavily lately. So this time it's Canario out to an early lead with that dual lane pressure.
And you can basically imagine now, or say now, that if you're running a graveyard deck, you should 100% have that Barbarian Barrel in instead of a log now. It just provides a great amount of defensive presence, as well as, again, like I said, getting a tank across the river without being touched.
The ability to distract a card as well is so valuable.
Yeah, and we've been seeing that Barbarian Barrel against a Magic Archer being played more and more everywhere, whether it's on ladder, grand challenges, and especially here at CRL.
And there you go.
Yeah, a very great counter, a 2-for-4 trade to a card that usually requires a fireball.
Now this E-Wiz is huge. Look at that, allowing 2 Hogs to escape onto tower. So now that's going to go under 1,000, it looks like, with one more hit. There we go. Canario in double elixir time, taking the lead, needs to deal with this very big graveyard push.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a bit of an aggressive graveyard from Lupanji. His tanks, or his units to tank, didn't seem like they had a ton of health. That Royal Ghost not going to do the work that you want as a tank. And now Canario coming back down the lane with Royal Hogs, nothing there to pick him up. A Dark Goblin and a Barb Barrel, but that's a ton of damage.
Down to 563, so Canario just wants to play clean, make no mistakes. Make sure he picks up And there you go. These Rascals have been fantastic in response to the Graveyard this game.
And this is what I love about Canario's plays. He could have dropped that Magic Archer at the bridge to try to pick up a couple more hits and then maybe even like, oh, I'm close enough to spell cycle range. I can log and fireball out. But that's not the way he plays. He's so patient, methodical. He knows he's got 3 minutes left to overtime. He's got the advantage. He just takes his time.
And now he's getting very close to being within spell range. So with these Royal Hog hits, that's going to be it. Wow. The no spell needed Magic Archer gets tower. Game number 2 for Canario.
And while the Royal Hogs have only been used in 18% of decks here in 1v1, they have a 52% win rate, which is why you see them banned so much in King of the Hill when everything is on the line. You don't want to match up with the Royal Hogs to be the reason it costs you the entire match.
Andrew, here's that E-Wiz moment.
Yeah, and the E-Wiz here just resetting everything. That stun and reset is such a powerful effect. And like you said, Rich, those Royal Hogs go to town on that tower because of it.
And there's the finish, the Magic Archer in perfect placement, the Barbarian Barrel not available as a counter in that moment. And we are all tied up now in 1v1.
Absolutely. These guys both playing incredible games. Lupanji in the first, Canario in the second. And this is exactly what we expected with these two heavyweights.
The next one, big for Allegiance, big for G2. Who will step up in this moment? Game number 3, your ban cards to remind you, Tornado and Miner.
And right now, you know Canario is thinking about that second place position, and Lupanji knowing he has to take this game to push to King of the Hill.
Lupanji waiting a little bit, letting that Royal Ghost get to his side, although that Bandit is going to get hit first.
And Lupanji really having a lot of success with that Mega Knight Miner Poison deck. You got to imagine that's why the Miner was taken out of play, because this seems like the type of position that he would like to pull out his favorite deck.
Yeah, Canario ran a Miner Balloon Mega Knight against Donkey Kong in the second game of the last time these two squads met, taking the victory there. So no Mega Knight this time around.
And I like this battle ran by Lupanji. Definitely going to connect. Really great moment of recognizing how much Elixir was spent by Canario and making him pay for it.
And that tower is going to go very low. So Canario in a hole as the first minute passes.
Yeah, and again, that Bandit getting a little bit of help from that Electro Wiz, stunning the Royal Ghost, making it a little bit less, pretty much negligible damage is going to come through on that tower. 2 swings. So for a first opening exchange, Lupanji in a commanding lead.
Oh, the big question will be, how does Lupanji deal with these Royal Hogs as the game gets deeper in? Canario with the ability to switch up, create dual lane pressure. And looking at Lupanji's deck, the answers that we've seen so far, not the best ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually you'll see a Fireball here, but he opted to go with the Poison. I personally think the Fireball, with how much we've seen the Royal Hogs coming in when it's not banned and how effective it is, would have probably been the better choice.
And now Canario uses that P.E.K.K.A to stop the Battle Ram second time up. And great timing here from Canario. As soon as that P.E.K.K.A drops, Royal Hogs in the opposite lane, and now we are pretty much all tied up with a slight lead now. That Fireball is huge. Canario taking that down to 383.
And this is exactly what Canario does. However, Lupanji in turn with a great counter push here. The double logs coming down on the left-hand side. That Rascal Girl doing just enough to clean it up, and that Rascal Boy taking that Bandit dash. Great defense by Canario, and what I was about to say is this is exactly what he does. It might look like he's at a disadvantage. It might look like he's losing, but we've seen him play enough to know he's never out of the game.
But can he stop this push here? The Fireball, yes, He needs something down to keep these Barbarians off his tower. He will not make it happen.
Look at the bottom of the screen, Rich. That is going to be a 3-crown impending for Lupanji. Canario doing a great job recognizing to sacrifice his tower. It would have been too much elixir spent. And now 792 HP at the bottom of your screen, and a flush of Royal Hogs coming in.
So 3 of them do get a little chips on tower, down under 500. This is what Canario does. Just when you think he's out, just when you think that he's missed something on defense, he pulls out a magical moment. Still a lot coming down this right-hand lane. He has to be careful, but at 497, a very good chance of taking that. This Battle Ram, though, very close to connecting.
just barely stopping it. That Royal Ghost drop in the pocket is going to be able to be ignored. The Hogs are going to come in, the Log, the Fireball, and that is probably going to do it. Yes, sir. Wow.
And there you go, Canario and G2 secure second place in our standings.
That is absolutely right, and now Allegiance in the position they didn't want to be in. Not a bad position by any means, but they're still battling to go to those playoffs.
So there you go, Canario taking second place. Of course, these two teams do have a season split, and they could come up with the same record. But even with the same record, the best that now Allegiance can do is tie the set differential, which is tiebreaker number 2.
Yep.
And G2 really has them beat in the overall game differential, which is tiebreaker number 3.
Absolutely, a commanding difference in games there by G2, heavily in their favor. Lupanji really playing his heart out. Canario just a step ahead of him, and that game went back and forth so many times, and here you see these Royal Hogs coming down the lane. Canario knew exactly what Lupanji's cycle and elixir count was at. He knew the Royal Hogs could come in when he saw that P.E.K.K.A going down. And like you said, with that Fireball coming in, he took the lead for the first time. And then you see it here. Great defense, stopping that Battle Ram just in the nick of time. And then look at the bottom of your screen. Royal Hogs meeting minions, not enough. Log, Fireball, and that is going to do it. Canario with the sweep for G2.
Once called the Giant Slayer, of course, has become the Giant himself, but add one more big name to his list in Lupanji. A huge win for him, a huge win for G2, a first round bye in our playoffs, only needing 2 match victories to make it all the way to Japan. So, of course, Chrissy St. John is going to sit down right now with Canario to get his thoughts on the match and their playoff prospects.
Thanks, guys. Whew, taking the 1v1 second place and getting revenge. How's it feel?
Bueno, conseguir 1-1, la segunda posición y la venganza. ¿Cómo te sientes?
Pues nos sentimos bastante bien porque igual que dije contra Dignita, esto no ganaron la primera vuelta y ahora vamos a volver y lo vamos a reventar.
Well, we feel really good because as he said against Dignitas, they got us in the first round, so we needed to take the revenge.
I have to ask, that last game, I thought Lupanji had it. How did you take advantage of his elixir count to take that game?
Bueno, en la última partida parecía que Lupanji tenía la ventaja. ¿Cómo le diste la vuelta a esa ventaja y sí que te sacaba?
Bueno, le di la vuelta pensando un poco en la partida. El primer minuto vi que me hizo mucho daño, y analicé sus cartas, vi las que tenía yo y dije que le puedo hacer bastante daño. Entonces intenté de detener los pillos en rotación, tirarlos siempre, porque era lo que más valor le daba y me funcionó.
Well, he saw their deck, he saw their cards, so they analyzed that, and he said, okay, the Rascal is my best card against that. I had to play the Rascal each time, so he cycled the Rascal and he got the game.
And it worked. Now I have to ask, Liquid and SK are up next. You might have to face them in the playoffs, so who do you think is going to win?
Bueno, tiene que preguntar, el próximo partido es SK contra Liquid. Uno de ellos podría ser nuestro rival de playoff. ¿Quién crees que va a ganar?
Yo creo que va a ganar SK porque lleva trabajando muy bien y por tenerle miedo le tengo más miedo a Liquid que a SK.
He thinks that SK will win because they have been working really good last weeks, but he is more scared about Liquid.
Liquid is incredibly scary. Either way, it'll be very exciting. Thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Already exciting stuff with a big-time win there from G2, taking that second place spot and taking a very important spot in the standings, and big news for Allegiance as well.
Yeah, this is a huge day for both of these teams. Now you see G2 clinching that number 2 spot, Team Queso clinching first place, and now Allegiance, however, not taking third place, has clinched a spot in the playoffs. Now it comes down to what happens later on today between SK Gaming and Team Liquid to see who will be playing Allegiance in that first round of the playoffs here in the EU.
It's the biggest day in the entire season for EU. We just saw that second place match. Now it's going to be SK versus Liquid to see who will face off against Allegiance in the first round of playoffs.
Wow, that was good, but guess what? Time for something even better. Next up, 2 teams with matching records, deadlocked on the playoff bubble. 4th ranked SK Gaming against 5th ranked Team Liquid. Winner is in the top 4. Loser won't be happy. Who wants it more?
Last time these two squads met, it went to King of the Hill, and it was Matt01 playing the hero, going with the clean sweep, taking out all three members of Team Liquid. Pressure is on, of course, for Surgical Goblin, the biggest name in the sport, on the biggest stage in the game, and possibly the biggest game of the season. If you thought things were tense in our opening match today, the stakes are even higher right now, Andrew. A win for SK Gaming secures their spot in the playoffs. A sweep for Liquid does the same for their squad.
Absolutely. And coming out for Team Liquid today, we got Diego B, Buffmac, Surgical Goblin, and Azelis, of course. Their opponents, Matt01, who did have that dominant King of the Hill sweep, Morton, Loi, and Mythja.
The stakes could not be higher. This is essentially a wild card match. Winner goes on, loser goes home. And the big hero last time that met, of course, was Matt01, stepping up in King of the Hill, taking out three of the biggest names in all of Clash Royale. So to hear how he's getting ready for today's match, let's go sit down with him and Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. So, Matt, SK beat Liquid back in week 2. Now it's week 8. Playoffs are around the corner. How has your strategy changed?
Well, today I will play 2v2 with Morten. We prepared a lot for this match. It's really important to take the 2v2 set. And then we have Loi for the 1v1. We were expecting Surgical for the 1v1. We prepared a good ban, and I think we have a good chance to win also this time.
I remember when you first played 2v2, you joked that you would retire after that first match, but you've come back again and again. I mean, what have you learned about the format?
Well, I think that in 2v2 I'm going good, so I want to give the best to my team. And I hope that we'll win also this match in 2v2 and win definitely this match. We want to go to the playoffs.
Certainly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now I have to ask, how are your nerves? You feeling the pressure?
Well, yes, I'm feeling the pressure because it's a match in or out. So for sure we face a really big opponent, but we prepared good for this match and I still think that we have a good chance to win.
All right, we'll see. Thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. What a tense day today. There's no joking around.
No.
There's no goofing off. It is all business. So let's go inside the war rooms and see how these squads get mentally prepared for the biggest match of their season.
Here we are, guys. You know, I was thinking yesterday night, everything that I could have said to you that would make you guys feel better and ready for this match. And I feel that if I had a choice in this match to choose any team from the CRL to play for me to go to playoffs, I will still choose you guys, all of you. And that's how confident I am in you, okay?
Yeah?
Let's do this today, and let's take it home.
Yeah.
All right. Let's show them. 1, 2, 3, SK Gaming!
All right, guys, this week I've seen you guys prepare, practice, study more than ever. I'm just so proud of you guys. I'm so proud to be a part of this team because you guys literally gave it your all. You did everything you possibly could and were prepared to get this win today. As we all know, we win, we're almost guaranteed playoffs. So let's do exactly what our CEO told us this morning. Let's take those nerves, let's embrace them, let's be excited, let's have fun, and most importantly, let's get out there, and let's get this win. Let's go Liquid on 3. 1, 2, 3, let's go Liquid!
Before the 2v2 showdown, I normally say something cute about milk and cookies or BFFs, but not today. There's too much on the line. Morten and Matt01, Buffmac and Diego B. 2v2 like your playoff lives depend on it.
And they do, King. They most certainly do. The wild card match. It's for pink slips. Morten and Matt01 against Diego B and Buffmac.
Yeah, Matt01, 2-1 in 2v2 sets. Morten 6-3 overall in 2v2 sets. The two best 2v2 specialists for SK Gaming. Their opponents, no surprise here, Diego B and Buffmac. This team is 5 of 7 in 2v2 sets when these two were together. Taking a look at our ban cards active for all potential 3 games of this 2v2 set. It's the Miner and the Royal Giant. Yeah, no surprise here seeing the Miner being banned. It's been happening more and more. However, I believe this is our first Royal Giant ban in 2v2.
SK has had some success running that double Royal Giant deck. So off the table now, 2v2 game number 1 underway.
Let's go. Let's go, boys.
Team Liquid's Buffmac and Diego B at the top of your screen, SK's Matt01 and Morton at the bottom.
And we've seen these deck compositions before here at CRL. Very interested to see. Yep, there's the second Golem for Team Liquid. We see the Golem and P.E.K.K.A combo for SK Gaming.
No risky play here. Both squads in this huge moment choosing to go very traditional for 2v2.
And I like this P.E.K.K.A in front of the Golem to soak up that Prince charge, keeping your Golem just a little healthier. And now that Golem is going to take out the other Prince. Great little interaction for SK.
And look at the E-Wiz for SK stopping the Inferno Dragon as well. So a nice play, although not sure if they're going to get much on the tower here.
Yeah, it does appear that those Golem might... Oh, nope, and the Prince does make it through. Raged up, and that is a lot on the tower. That's going to be towered down for SK.
Minute number 1, SK comes out firing tower down.
And every single one of these games matter. You can feel the weight of it in the room, Rich. That very first tower take seemed more monumental than maybe any tower take we've seen here.
Looking at these deck builds, Andrew, you see a lot of cards that seem to play very well for SK. You have the Ice Wizard and the Tornado. You have buildings. You have the Prince. You have the P.E.K.K.A. So many defensive answers to this big beatdown deck.
Yep, and then behind all of it, they've got the Golem, and the Golem still is gonna. They still have a great Golem deck with what they have built here. They got Lumberjack, they got the Baby Drag, they got the Prince. You saw that Electro Wizard doing work against the Inferno Dragon. Really great deck composition here from SK. And now Liquid firing back, taking that tower down to 500 HP.
So you got to imagine, though, that SK is going to put pressure on the opposite lane now.
Yep.
They don't, with that tower down to 506, they cannot rest on their laurels and play defense.
That's a great call, Rich, and that is why they're playing this Golem and Prince now. And now Liquid has to respond to the Golem and Prince. Gonna try to change up, though, how they played it, considering the way that first interaction went. And now you see they're not going to Golem up. They're going to commit fully to defense, and let's see if it pays off for them. That Lumberjack sneaking in the pocket is huge, taking out the Prince, now raging everything up.
Not a lot of advantage taken from that, but forcing their opponents to play defense, and it is SK Gaming who still has a slight elixir lead as we enter the final 30 seconds.
Yep, and now with that P.E.K.K.A coming down, I was going to say we're going to see if SK is going to go all in on the defense or if they're going to try to take that tower on the right. Very promiscuous situation to be in, because if they lose this tower, they'll be basically even once again.
And with that fireball down here, it's going to be tower down, so Liquid storming back in the final 5 seconds.
And it's not really, SK's not at a massive elixir lead right now, having to allocate that one Baby Dragon to prevent the 3 crown. We are now essentially neck and neck back to 0-0.
So sudden death overtime, 1 tower means everything. You know, despite the defensive lapse there, or at least not enough pressure on the right-hand side, do you still feel pretty good about the matchup for SK in the situation, Andrew?
I do. You know, I just based off of the way that very first push went, the exchange between the 2 Golems. However, Team Liquid immediately adjusting, as you saw the next time a Golem push came in from SK, opting to play full defense. And now with the double Golems coming down and only 1 P.E.K.K.A in hand of SK, this is the moment for Liquid to strike.
Prince and Cannon taking care of those Golemites.
Yep.
The Rage not going to help here as that Inferno Dragon goes down. First minute passed of overtime.
Now here's the thing, is SK's already rotated back to another P.E.K.K.A, and this is how that first push went. P.E.K.K.A in front of the Golem, Prince coming in. P.E.K.K.A's going to take out the Prince. And now, if SK can preserve their Golem and the troops around it, including that Ice Wizard, that's not going to happen with that Fireball. And that's going to kill their push right there.
So things very tight here. 1:30 remaining in sudden death. Last time these two faced off, SK Gaming opened up with a double Royal Hog, double Royal Recruit deck up against the double Logbait deck of Team Liquid, and so this is such a different matchup. Both squads are choosing to go very traditional, very safe with their deck builds.
Yeah, I believe that was in week 2 or 3 that they met. That was such a crazy little bit of of deck building there.
Very important damage here. We are down to the final minute, and it looks like this golem's going to get eaten alive. So now under 970, can SK get that tower? Does Team Liquid just play for the draw in this situation?
You got to imagine this Electro Wiz is going to get dropped, seeing that Inferno Dragon coming down, stunning it, and now that Prince taking out the P.E.K.K.A. A decent chance here for SK to still strike. Golems meeting at the river.
So SK Gaming trying to push the pace, trying to get on tower. They do need to be careful, though, and not let any big defensive lapses go down. 25 seconds left.
Yeah, Rich, it looks like this is going to end in a draw. However, those guards being dropped in the pocket, what are they going to do to meet that Prince? The Ice Wiz NATO combo coming in, cannon to catch. They need one more. Electro on top, there it is.
And that's going to be a draw in game number one. Wow.
What a crazy back and forth game. Back to that one moment, you wonder if SK should have maybe doubled down on the offense instead of playing defense, seeing that their tower was so low. Like you said, not the worst case scenario, though. A very good case scenario for Team Liquid, however, losing that tower very early on, bouncing back and evening the game out.
Really great adjustments, and it looked like it was trouble for SK early, but this was the moment they took that easy or big-time lead.
Yeah, it was the Prince staying back as long as it did, taking out Team Liquid's Golem, then coming through, raged up, charged up, getting on tower, huge while those Golemites are tanking.
And those mid-game adjustments so big for Team Liquid, and then not putting the pedal to the metal. So here we are, one draw in hand, and potentially two more to go here in this 2v2 matchup.
Let's see what they're going to bring to this second game.
Let's go, boys.
First game, completely even. No one could pull ahead. Game number two, a very important one.
Yes, we got that Royal Giant ban here from Team Liquid, and of course the minor ban from SK, and starting off in very similar fashion to last game, minus the Golem for SK. However, it could be coming down right now.
And there we go, they do have Golem, just wasn't in hand to open.
And it looks like they're going to opt to play defense here, which I think is the right decision. No Electro Wizard in hand for SK to stop that Inferno Dragon. And now the Golem comes down. Great timing, however, that Baby Dragon getting in front, not what they wanted.
The Ice Wiz buying plenty of time, though, for that Prince to get down, and the Lumberjack for Liquid is kind of stuck behind that Golem for the moment, finally gets through on the Ice Wizard.
And a great NATO by Team Liquid so that they can basically ignore the Golem coming down their lane and focus on offense, also activating their King Tower.
That double King Tower, so powerful, so important. Now we're resetting, slowing down here as we reach the midway point of regulation.
We see that rocket in hand of Buffmac. I don't believe we saw that last game.
We did not. I don't think so. I believe they were playing Fireball last time.
Yeah, and that rocket will be a great, great tool in taking out a lot of those units being stacked up by SK. The Baby Dragon, the Electro Wiz, the Ice Wiz, all these things are very susceptible to it. But here, instead, taking out the Lumberjack and the P.E.K.K.A. Very nice timing by Liquid on that rocket.
Although in kind of a backwards move, it does rage up all the defense, so they take care of that Golem and Prince fairly easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually kind of surprised they went for the rocket there, but I get it. There's a lot of great value there, taking out the Lumberjack, hitting the P.E.K.K.A., hitting the tower.
We are now in double elixir time, and it is a slight lead on the left-hand side of about 630-ish hit points for Team Liquid.
I am a bit surprised that we haven't seen the Magic Archer in either of these decks. Usually a card that's played in these types of decks just because it provides such great utility from far away, and you can also pierce through to that tower, and that is why the rocket got thrown in. Look at that value.
And there's a raged up Prince. It does not get to tower courtesy of the guards, but they are still forced to spend to deal with it. You know, Andrew, I'm wondering if the Magic Archer's in neither deck partially because all the spells are still on the board, including Fireball.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be one of the things that they're thinking about here. But still, you know, they've got to use those spells for a lot of other things as well. The Magic Archer providing so much utility so regularly in 2v2 and 1v1. I'm surprised we're not even seeing one out of each of the 16 cards here from either team.
Full-on double golem push gets chewed up alive here at the river. The Prince getting in front of the P.E.K.K.A, giving a little bit of protection.
Now he needs something to protect or stop that Inferno Dragon, but again, that Electro Wiz isn't in cycle. The Zap comes down, and now we got a big push coming in.
So a lot of splash damage right now on the board for SK Gaming, and this might be the biggest push of the entire game. But that rocket one more time.
I was just going to say that is a perfect target. Just set up and knock down with the rocket. You see all those troops grouped up behind the golem at the river, and there's really only one option if you're Liquid, and that is to rocket them all down.
So SK maybe trying to find a spot here where they can develop some stuff without that rocket being a concern.
But once again, you see, look at the troops and the way that they're piling up here. Once they get back around to the rocket, they can hit both Baby Dragons and the P.E.K.K.A. So I think that small adjustment by Liquid, and you saw them make that in-game adjustment last time, has been one of the biggest deciding factors in this second game, and why they've got a bit of the damage lead, I think, is just because of the value that they've been getting off of their rockets.
A minute 30 left in sudden death overtime. And that might be the best E-Wiz they have played so far in this game for SK.
And you see Liquid immediately taking it out of play. They've preserved their Inferno Dragon, making SK have to NATO and zap it again because it was going to take out the P.E.K.K.A, which was the only response that they actually had to this Golem.
So we are starting to get in potential double draw territory. We'll address the implications of that if it does in fact happen. But only a minute left for someone to take this in charge.
And there is a lot of damage that needs to happen over the next 50 seconds here, Rich. I don't understand, or I don't see how either of these teams are going to make it happen.
You got to think that SK in particular is going to play defense with that slight disadvantage here in damage.
Yeah, and like you said, we'll get to those implications, but one thing we do know right now, it is not a lowest tower king of the hill situation. Both teams very aware of this, and that is why they are opting to just meet at the river, let a little bit of damage go through. They do not care about the lower tower, they care about losing a tower.
This is a lot coming down, though, Andrew. I don't know if SK can deal with this. That tornado so big, 15 seconds left.
Wow, and that NATO coming through in the clutch as the MVP. We are now at a 2-game draw in a row in this 2v2 set. Great adjustments by both teams throughout. You saw Liquid bring that rocket in and all the value that it got. However, SK not backing down. Here we are going into game number 3, Rich.
Wow, unbelievable. A double draw to open up the 2v2, to open up such a close and important. And these squads have been so close all season.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they've been going back and forth, and this is that push at the end here. You see the Electro Wiz coming in, the Mega Minion coming in, sacrifice everything, preserve the tower's health, the rocket coming in just for good measure. Very, very close second game here, 2 draws.
So looking at that tower down at 429 at the very end for SK Gaming, it does bring up the question of, was there any opportunity to get rocket value on the tower as well as troops, or did they need to spend it exclusively at the river?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you saw those grouped up things at the river, very hard to avoid with the rocket, but the tower would have changed the game. Will it be another draw in game 3?
Let's go, Let's do this.
2 draws down, a third one not going to happen because we are now in a lowest tower situation. This third game will decide the set. Whichever squad gets their opponent's single tower to the lowest HP will win the game and the entire 2v2 set.
And I got to admire the double early log, the amount of spells we're seeing from both teams here. Everyone recognizing what is at stake. Pick a tower, stick to it, chip away, cycle those spells.
And definitely an early uptick in spell usage. So as we saw a lot of spell play at the river, especially that rocket by Team Liquid, we'll see if players start trying to get more spell value in a situation like this where the Giant and the Prince are coming past the tower.
However, I don't believe we saw a rocket in the hand of SK, which is very, very surprising. Seeing the value that Team Liquid got from that rocket against them in the last game, you'd think they'd want to throw it in there, and it's just doing so much damage, the highest damage spell.
That poison doing some good damage here, but a lot to deal with coming down the right-hand lane with that rage in defensive health. That's very nice.
Yep, Prince staying alive just long enough for SK here to support that golem push, or the defense on that golem push, excuse me. Ooh, and they really wanted that Mega Minion to tank for their Prince.
And they wanted that Inferno Dragon to stay in the right-hand lane as well.
Yes, absolutely, a mind of its own. And Bats drop to stop that sizzle.
So we are now entering the territory. We might be getting into double elixir, and SK Gaming choosing to switch lanes here.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to push into the same lane of their very, very weak tower. I mean, that 1,500 damage remaining is a lot of damage down, about 1,000 from their original or starting health, I should say. So opting to switch lanes to preserve that tower. And that Lumberjack is on. What a brutal NATO for SK. It appeared that they had broken through.
And that's the second time Liquid's done that in back-to-back games, attracting the Golem to the middle, and then with a building, then using that Tornado to activate the Double King Tower.
And the Prince just sneaking by the Golem, not what SK wanted to happen once again. And with this Prince in the right-hand lane, Golem coming in, I don't know how SK defended that, actually.
Well, the Golem might split once more, so that's good news for SK Gaming. But now with this Baby Dragon getting on tower, they're going to be in a situation where both left and right lane present problems as we go into sudden death overtime.
Yeah, and that's a great thing for Team Liquid. You see both their towers at 19, SK's at 16 and 11, gives them a great opportunity to pick and choose their battles. And this is what you're talking about, Rich. Now fighting for that spell value in every opportunity they get. NATO coming in with the fireball, with the poison, getting a ton of damage, around 400-ish on that tower.
That was a very good Tornado Fireball, lots of damage in the left-hand lane. And now, I was going to say, if that Prince could escape, that would have been huge. Not going to happen, but they might be getting Golem on tower here. That Tornado, though, here we go.
Yes, this is going to be it, Rich, for SK. This is a huge moment. Baby Dragon on the tower. Lumberjack coming in. Liquid not having the defensive responsibilities needed. That Baby Dragon is still on the tower. SK is going to take this set.
Oh my gosh. They need to spell out, that is it. SK Gaming comes from behind and takes the 2v2. No lowest tower needed. A huge set win for Matt01 and Morton.
Oh my gosh, you can see the look on their face after it was over. A battle, a grueling battle. I mean, only one tower being taken in 3 games, 18 minutes essentially of play. Unbelievable by SK, and you see it here, just really great offensive prowess. They somehow get that Lumberjack through, and that was the moment where Liquid had to commit more than they wanted to defensively, and SK just kept the pressure up. They looked for these windows, and you see Liquid's just got nothing in hand to respond. The Lumberjack comes down behind it all, adding insult to injury because he gets raged up, and now the Baby Dragon takes out that tower.
That second Lumberjack, that was so huge, giving that Baby Dragon the charge it needed. The poison gets down, and you can see the look on the faces of Wolfmac and Diego B. They simply can't believe it in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, they played such an incredible set. All 4 of these guys did, but it is Morton and Matt01 who walk away with the win. Morton now 7-3 in 2v2, and Matt 3-1 in 2v2 sets.
And now it all comes down to this. It is 1v1 Loweye coming out for SK Gaming, and for Team Liquid, the biggest name in the game, Surgical Goblin, in a moment here where he needs to show the entire world what Team Liquid can do and save his team's chances at making our playoffs.
This season, we have seen new CRL All-Stars emerge, but in this 1v1 showdown, we're going old school. Make way for 2 longtime legends of the game, ready to carry their teams when they need it most. Loweye and Surgical Goblin, do what you do best!
This could be it, folks. SK Gaming 2 wins away from securing a spot in the playoffs. Surgical Goblin, the Netherlander, 700 subs on YouTube, the #1 global ladder, #1 Kings Cup 2, trying to preserve a shot at being #1 for CRL.
Yes, Loai for SK Gaming is 1-1 in these 1v1 sets. Overall, 4-5 in head-to-head play. Surgical Goblin on the other side, 700,000 subs, 3-2 overall in 1v1 sets. However, he has a negative head-to-head record at 9-11.
The card bans active for potentially all 3 games of our 1v1 set, Tornado and P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah, P.E.K.K.A. being off the board, that makes you wonder, do we see Royal Giant, do we see Golem, or do we take to the skies with a Lava Loon deck, Lava Miner deck? Who knows?
So here it is, 1v1, Loai for SK Gaming, Surgical Goblin for Team Liquid. Let's go. Surge at the top of your screen for Liquid, Loai at the bottom for SK Gaming. These two did not meet at all the last time these squads played across from each other.
And immediately we see a bait-style deck coming from Loai. Surgical Goblin maybe playing some sort of Lava Loon deck with the guards and the Mega Minion. Yeah, so it's probably going to be that Lava Miner deck, and Loai not having anything in hand, or at least the Elixir or the reaction to catch that Miner.
Very interesting. So we're seeing double win condition here coming from Loai.
Yeah, he could... this is so interesting. I mean, he might have a mini P.E.K.K.A. in there as his tank killer. But yeah, the Hog Rider and the Goblin Barrel, something that shows up a lot in lower arenas. Very, very interesting.
Not very common at this level, but if you're not ready for it, can be frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, and also these card combinations in the hands of the best players in the world. Who knows? And
yeah, this is a big Inferno Tower.
Yeah, no zap coming out from Surge. There it is, coming in pretty late, allowing one hit. No, a fireball comes in for Loai.
So Loai playing great defense so far against a tough deck, and Surgical Goblin has to be surprised to see a Hog Rider Goblin Barrel deck in front of him.
With an Inferno Tower that is a nightmare for his balloon, and one thing that you got to recognize is even with all that exchange there offensively and defensively, Loai did not lose a big Elixir advantage, about down 1 or so.
So we are getting close now, 15 seconds from double Elixir time, and you have to wonder, how important it is for Loai to establish more of a lead here before we start getting that double Elixir for those balloon drops.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting position because Surge doesn't have the greatest response to that Goblin Barrel, so he's just going to take it right now and maybe opt to create a big push, but kind of surprising there.
Yeah, he only has about a 1 Elixir, maybe 1.5 Elixir lead. So definitely going to be a challenging position here, and Loai's deck is so fast, he can get back to his responses over and over and over again.
Wow.
And Surge giving good game already, knowing that balloon getting stopped, probably the difference maker here.
Well, that, and also you saw Surge making the really, really great heads-up play of moving where he was placing his miner to take out the Dark Goblin. The Dark Goblin was such a big detriment to his balloon's push last time. However, the guards of Loai catching the miner, and that is when you saw the good game come out from Surge. That miner on the left-hand side in that last push was really his last-ditch effort. He needed it to tank for his balloon and to take out that Dark Goblin.
Loai playing pretty much perfect in this first matchup, a very tough one for Surgical Goblin, but the win is what matters, so it's Loai for SK Gaming taking a very important lead in this set.
Yeah, this is monumental in this match here. This first game going to Loai now puts all the pressure on Surgical Goblin and Team Liquid, and you see here that Dark Goblin is the reason that balloon doesn't make it to the tower, which is why, in turn, the next push that comes through, let's focus on one thing at a time here, Andrew. The Goblin Barrel coming in on top of the tower takes it out, and Surge just must have had nothing in his hand to respond, Rich.
Well, the frustration of realizing that you're up against a double win condition deck.
Yes.
You don't see Goblin Barrel and Royal Hogs together at this level.
And there's no log. He didn't have a log in his hand. The Zap and the guards are the best response to the Goblin Barrel. 5 Elixir being spent on 3. Not a trade he wants to make. What a crazy deck from Loai.
Game number 1 in the books for SK Gaming. Surgical Goblin needs the reverse sweep to preserve his team's chances at Japan.
Go Frank!
Game number 2 underway, and wow, the tension in this room is so thick, Andrew.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, Rich, and I can't help but wonder if it goes back to that last game of 2v2 and Team Liquid not having Zap in their rotation, if that came back to bite them because they didn't have a response for the Inferno Dragon.
So it's a Barb Hut deck for Low-Eye.
And we've seen I mean, this is somewhat reminiscent of the deck that was just featured on CWA by Siegs, and that is, I mean, obviously the bats are in there instead of the minions, and there's only 3 cards in play, but this is very similar and a very powerful deck. Barb Hut coming out for both, and it looks like Surge is actually running the same thing here. We'll see if he has the bats or the minions, but yeah, Cannon Card will be coming out for both, Barb Barrel.
So this is fascinating. This is a deck that doesn't, or at least in the constructions we've seen, doesn't have an inherent win condition.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes this deck will have a graveyard in it, but yeah, it's not really about a win condition, Rich. It's about a compilation of all of these troops all having very, very strong just utility value to them. Every single one of them. The Cannon Card can sneak through. The Magic Archer can pierce the tower. The Barbarians can get a big built-up push coming down. The Flying Machine, we all know how pesky those can be, and usually a Fireball will be in here, exactly. So when you're playing against this deck, now you've got to pick and choose. Do I Fireball the Magic Archer, the minions? Do I Fireball the Barb Hut? What do I Fireball?
And First Blood finally drawn as we are entering double elixir time, so it took us that long to get any damage on tower.
And I was running this in a grand challenge this morning, Rich, and I ran into 2 mirror matches in a row that both ended in draws. However, Surgical taking this tower right now, a missed Fireball from Low-Eye, hitting mainly the Cannon Cart, but not the troops that are going to do the most amount of damage in those bats.
And that will probably be game number 2 for Surgical Goblin, Andrew.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as I said, I had 2 draws in a row in grand challenges. I can't imagine that Surgical is going to make a big enough mistake with this little time left to lose either his left or right Princess Towers.
And this is the issue with this deck having no win condition, Andrew, is that once you fall behind, especially all the way behind on a tower, there are so few options on how to get yourself back in the game.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating, this deck. Something that was not even existent maybe 48 hours ago. We hadn't even heard of it or seen it. And all of a sudden it gets a quick featured spot on CWA, and now 2 appearances here at CRL. Such a very, very powerful deck and very fun to play.
Now here's an important note for this moment, Andrew, is Surgical Goblin had the chance at the 3 crown and didn't push for it. Now the reason why that could be an issue is because we are going to go very deep down the tiebreaker lane if Team Liquid ends up pulling this out, since they did not get the sweep today.
Yeah, the SK and Liquid tiebreaker is going to be an incredibly intricate level of what it comes down to, whether it's sets, games, crowns, and with that 3 crown on, on the table, Surgical opting not to go for it because he still needed to protect that left-hand tower. You saw that Magic Archer coming in the end a little bit, just making the smarter, safer play. But I do understand that race for 3.
So 1v1, 1 game each side. 1 to decide it all. Can Surgical Goblin clutch this thing and send his squad to King of the Hill? Game number 3. A lot riding on the next 3 to 6 minutes.
I've got butterflies, Rich. I'm just going to be completely honest.
If you don't, Andrew, you don't have a pulse.
And we might be seeing a mirror matchup once again, both these cards being featured in that deck. And now Low-Eye going back to the more traditional route with the bats instead of the minions. Who knows if that 1 elixir difference was the reason he feels he lost that last game.
And no, it's not, Andrew, a Sparky deck for Low-Eye.
I almost thought it was a Cannon Cart, and I was like, well, Rich, actually it still could be. But yeah, that is a giant Sparky deck coming out with a very, very quick cycle deck. We saw Adrian Piedra, I believe, yes, it was Adrian running that quick cycle Sparky deck recently. I can't remember if it has all the exact same cards, but very effective, especially when you catch your opponent out of cycle. That zap is huge.
That might be the single biggest 2 elixir spent in all of Clash Royale League.
my jaw is dropped. Both of those shots connecting, the Giant taking just long enough, taking out the Barb Hut. A huge push coming in for Surge, but it's not going to do much, and he's calling the good game again early. But if there's one thing we've learned about Surgical Goblin, whether it's on his channel or here at CRL, is he's never out of the game.
Yeah, Loai is trying. He's a little bit ahead of Elixir now, although behind if you count the Royal Ghost on tower. So he does have to be careful here. We have seen crazier come from behind wins happen, and now down to 13-10. So Loai does have that left-hand tower in fireball range, but he also has to play very, very good defense here. Although in a situation where Surgical Goblin does not have a true win condition.
Yeah, and it's a really tough position to be in. You'd like to have troops that really soak up and distract that Sparky shot. So what Surge has here is basically the Barbarian Barrel and the first leg or life of the Cannon Cart. It's really nice when you have things like Skeletons or Goblin Gang to distract and take out a Sparky for a very positive Elixir trade.
And now in double Elixir time, and Loai just stacking up troops on both lanes.
And that Giant tanking for the Spear Goblins is going to be a huge moment here. Going to easily take that left-hand tower, and now the right taking a bit of that Sparky shot. Surge called that good game very early, but for a very good reason. He saw the misplays that happened early on, that devastating zap coming in from Loai, and what a great, wow. I mean, that flying machine on the right-hand tower.
Definitely making these interesting. This Cannon Cart is the difference. Can he deal with it? Cannon Cart, Barbarian Barrel. Does he have enough to stop it? The fireball
oh my gosh.
Keeps it just out of range, and that, my friends, is going to be it. SK Gaming takes the victory. They are going to the playoffs. Team Liquid falling in the final seconds of this match.
What a crazy, crazy string of events here in this match. What a 2v2 set. The 1v1, Loai loving the appreciation from his team.
Wow, unbelievable. Loai making some very interesting and kind of shocking deck choices,
yes.
But it paid off well. That Sparky ended up being a great response to the Barb Hut when combined with the Giant.
I mean, it's such a quick cycle deck, and that Giant Sparky push in the very beginning, the zap on those bats was absolutely incredible. And Surge felt it right then and there. That was the moment that the match felt that it slipped out of his fingers. You saw him fighting back as he does. There's a reason why he's known as the best in the world. But this is the push that did it all. The Giant is in, tanking for the Sparky. The bats come in. The perfect fireball early for the flying machine. Gets enough elixir for the zap just in time. A sliver of HP remaining. And that second shot just in time.
Like I said, probably the most valuable 2 elixirs spent in all of CRL, and there's the next most valuable fireball probably, keeping that Cannon Cart off of tower, preserving the win for Loai, and a big win it is because now they have officially qualified for the playoffs. They will be facing off in the first round against the French squad Allegiance that you saw earlier today.
Yes.
Wow, and Loai breathing a sigh of relief after skating by on that one. So let's hear what he has to say sitting down with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Taking the 1v1 against Surgical Goblin and that playoff spot in the standings. How's it feel?
It feels amazing. Now we are in the playoffs, and that was our goal since the start, so we are really happy as a team.
And a nerve-wracking match, a nail-biting 2v2. How did you go into the 1v1 and keep your calm to take it?
Yeah, in the first game I tried to snipe his deck. I saw him practice some other decks, but I still got a good matchup and I won. Then second game I didn't play that good and lost my tower. And then the third game my manager came to me and he told me to play Giant Sparky. And I did. And I didn't have the best cycle, but when I zapped the bats and the Sparky got 2 shots and that was the key of the game and I won. Yeah, I had really good matchups, and GG to Surgical for playing that really well at the end.
Absolutely. Well, GG, congrats on taking the match. Thanks so much for talking to me. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. What an unbelievable day. That crazy 2v2 double draw all the way down to the end. And then Loai running Hog Rider Goblin Barrel, the no-win condition Barb Hut deck, and then closing things out with a Giant Sparky.
Yeah, unbelievable. And as we hop into the standings here and look and see what that means for these teams, we've got our top 4. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Queso, G2 Esports, Allegiance, and SK Gaming all in that playoff picture.
And that does solidify our playoff picture because remember, Queso and G2 have both clinched the number 1 and number 2 spots. So the first round will be Allegiance facing off against SK. The winner of that in the second round will go against G2 Esports, and the winner of that will go to the European Finals against Team Queso for a shot at going to our World Finals in Tokyo, Japan.
Yes, Tokyo, Japan, December 1st. Join Rich and I there. We are so excited. Go in-game to your news tab to figure out all the details.
Of course, that is December 1st in Tokyo, Japan. So for those of you watching in North America, that's going to be November 30th, I believe, at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. So make sure...
Happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Happy birthday to his mom. And happy birthday to all the moms out there. If you want to follow all the action, especially those playoffs, make sure you hit subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports YouTube page. Ring that bell for all notifications. Go to esports.clashroyale.com to get your information and follow along with those playoffs. And, of course, there is the Clash Royale Esports tab within your app while you're playing the game. We will be back on Tuesday, October 16th with some of our final games here in the European region. For Andrew Guy, I'm Rich Slayton. What a day. We will see you next week back in the arena.
Bye.
Nothing gets the elixir pumping quite like a battle for the playoffs. Watching 4 stacked teams fight for their spot at the table. There's nothing better. I, for one, need a heal spell and maybe a light walk after all of that just to calm down. Unbelievably, there is still more to come. Who will come out on top in Europe? Who else will ride their balloon to Tokyo to battle in the World Finals? Keep watching to find out. Subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel. And remember, the rocket is just the beginning of my Royal Space program. Soon, I will have goblins on the moon. This I vow.